Hey guys, it's me Nigel aka Camo and we are back. Episode 29 of City Skyline. So guys and girls, how is everyone doing? I hope things are wonderful your side the way it is my side, and I pray that your day goes amazingly. So for today's episode, we have successfully done the biggest population growth work by adding a hell load of residential in this very part of the city. So off screen, I placed in another railway station and also placed in some of these promenades that fit in nicely. I also worked on the road layouts, mainly working in the section close to our main rail lines, and kept in some huge gaps between that. I followed by adding in more roads, but mostly these have bicycle lanes as I want to promote more of cycling in this area. I thankfully spaced out everything quite nicely in this area, because of which we were able to add in all sorts of services and parks as well, making the area look top notch and also increasing the land value. This would be like an initial downtown work because from the other side of the river, we will be working on our downtown very soon. I am also thinking on adding some more promenades around the river banks because that would look nicer. I feel it would be fun seeing peeps walk up and down these sections as well. Maybe add in some special buildings and parks to attract more people. But feel free to let me know what you guys think and what might fit in right with this idea. Once I was done with the roads, I randomly started placing parks all around the area. I wanted this whole section to have some great number of parks, which I also added later as we progress along with basic necessities that include education, fire safety, police, and even banks and some huge hospitals. I made sure to cover all the spaces so there shouldn't be any issue as such regarding lack of services or coverage. So I followed this pattern where I started off with some smaller size towers in a bunch, working up as a nice uniform type buildings, and proceeded to add taller buildings with each gradient till we had the tallest in the area. I actually went quite nuts with the placement because it was a monotonous activity and I had to keep a pattern maintained so it didn't look bad as we completed. It took me roughly 15 minutes or so just to place in the right amount of buildings as well as maintaining the gradient pattern as I mentioned earlier, but final result just came out something I had picture in my mind. As mentioned earlier, these would act up as my initial spaces for upcoming downtown close to this area, and possibly I will be connecting these sections in numerous ways. I also, by the way, changed a few things off screen that includes a bus terminal with a metro station close to the railway station that I changed to an only metro station. I know I just added in buildings after buildings and this looks quite dead, which I can't deny at all. But I decided that let's get done with the building placement first and later we can do the detailing part. Now was the time to fill up the gaps with lots of more parks, parking lots, plazas, cafes, and commercial buildings. I can assure you by the end of this, things came out amazing because placing the buildings was just not enough. Also, I faced in quite a lot of challenges while making this whole gameplay because my PC ended up showing this one error, which firstly meant that yes, my game was crashing. It happened many times to a point that it became quite stressful. I even turned off the mods and I tried to start the game, but it kept on crashing and saving some crash notes in my game files. I searched in for what the hell this is whilst consulting a friend of mine who is a computer expert, and we found out that my PC is lagging out of RAM. Yes, I had 8 gigs of RAM earlier and that turned out to be less. The crash even meant that the game needed more RAM to load, and then I had to go all the way to buy new RAM sticks and upgrading to more 8 gigs. Thankfully, that was enough to resolve the whole issue. I managed to turn on the game and it was working as usual. Maybe if you guys ever face such an issue, just know that you need more of that RAM to keep this game running. But yes, my PC is also a little old, so it makes sense that something had to happen one or the other day. And I guess this was the time it just gave up by just constantly lagging. But now we are back and I will try to maintain some level of consistency at posting gameplays. So mainly I wanted this area to have more of commercials, but I was actually confused at first of what exactly to put in. Because there are some commercials that make quite the noise, and then there are some that end up creating no to very less noise. And you can see I placed in a variety of options. I even kept things simple for the areas that were looking quite empty. For some, I ended up adding a few more commercials, while for some, I decided that it would be better if we add in parking lots or some other sort of parks. And then there were quite a lot of pathways because I was trying my best to promote more of walking in this area, because as a matter of fact, if any particular section ends up having a lot of residential, then definitely it will face lots of traffic. So if I personally feel that if there are more paths and bicycle lanes, there is a possibility that the traffic might ooze out, but again, it just depends on the game AI. But then again, my aim was this as well as the fact that I wanted to fill up the gaps, and I did that quite successfully. I even placed in a park area which looks basic, but to spice it up, I added some smaller amusement park rides, and I just added trees and bushes and worked ahead because I didn't want to spend much time on this, as the main aim was to only fill that empty space with something not building, which would definitely complain about the noise. I made sure that the whole area is fenced out quite nicely, and also I kept in like just 2 entrances for the city park. And also, as I mentioned earlier, the park, it looks quite simple, but it wasn't the main aim, it was just to fill up the gap. But finally it came out looking good with the parking lots, with the additional plazas and gazebos. It just felt like a perfect place to come out and relax at. Also, when it came up to decorating the areas close by or the buildings, I made sure that there is plenty of trees. And I just decided that it would be better if there are only 2 types of trees and more of these overgrown bushes all around the area. As the matter of fact, this choice ended up being quite nice, as the area started to look quite lush. And the main thing is that these trees that I've used, they also avoid quite the noise pollution. so it was a great thing for the buildings around that area. So as of now, you all have seen how I ended up decorating the promenades near our station, along with filling up the gaps in middle of all the residentials, so they look complete and not empty. I really loved how the promenades around the station looked with the parks. A special building followed by lots of commercials. It just looked fantastic. Also, adding up some trees, overgrown bushes and paths worked out really well for me, as you can see from the results. And I also made sure to add not too many of the same things except the parking lots. So these things filled up the gaps perfectly and added more space for walking, of course for the Sims, with some fresh air from the trees. So it was a win-win for the citizens, as they got the best decoration one can ask for, and for me as well, because it looks fine. I had initially placed in parking lots in this area, but I'll be honest that I forgot about the fact that there was a proper bus terminal on the other side, and I made this thing here. But it was cute the way it came out with the trees and everything. It just looked fine, and after adding some bus lines across this section, we were done for good. I'll be putting up a huge cinematic video at the end, so just enjoy it, because there were a lot of things that I did off screen, and I think cinematics would be a wonderful way to showcase what the city looks like. And for the next episode, I will either start with the downtown area or possibly the section near our waterfront. But feel free to put up suggestions of what you want to see next, and we shall do the needful. Till then, make sure to enjoy the video, hit the like button and subscribe. Until next time.